Hey folks, Prepping with Sarge here. I hope you are all ready for a wonderful Independence Day weekend. I have a few quick things to tell you about, and then I'll get right into today's video. This is going to be very unscripted, very unedited, because I'm kind of rushing it to get this out, and then I can get ready for later on tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm actually going to be on Rogue Preparedness's stream talking about prepping and mental health. So make sure you check that out. I'm actually going to drop a link for that in the description down below. So what else we got going on? Check out your favorite places like Wazoo Survival Gear, things like that. Powertac. Everybody's doing Independence Day sales this weekend. Even Smoky Mountain Knife Works I saw was doing one. All kinds of different things going on out there. So check those out. There's all kinds of good Independence Day sales going on. Make sure you're safe. So today, really quickly, I wanted to talk a little bit about fireworks and PTSD. So for those of you who are brand new to my channel, Sarge is not a military title. It's not a police title. It's actually just a nickname. However, I am a licensed therapist, and I work a lot with soldiers and first responders, and I have a lot of experience working with the trauma diagnoses, which PTSD is only one of those. There's some other trauma diagnoses that go along with that. Not going to get too much into the criteria between them tonight, but let's just go ahead and get right into it. And also, before you click out of the video, in the links down below, I'll also drop some links to some videos on some topics that may be helpful about panic attacks and also nightmares and sleep issues, things like that. Those are from my mental health channel. I know those of you who follow me on the mental health channel as well, I haven't updated in a while. I apologize. All of my efforts right now are going into the prepping channel right now, trying to grow this as best as I can. I've got a lot of big things coming on. I've got a lot of products being sent over right now that I'm trying to review. Got a lot of topics to talk about for you. So for right now, the mental health channel is just taking a back seat, but I've left everything up. There's good stuff there. Definitely check out the panic attacks videos. Definitely check out the sleep insomnia and the nightmares videos, stuff like that. At some point, I will also add in some videos about dissociations and dissociative episodes. Used to be called flashbacks. We're going to talk a little bit about that right now. So first thing you need to know is that not everybody with trauma issues gets dissociative episodes. Okay, so that's thing one. Not everybody who's been around gunfights necessarily has PTSD and doesn't necessarily have dissociative episodes. Some people do, and sometimes that happens. When that happens, what's going on in the brain? Well, so in order to keep this video kind of short, I'm going to break this down to a very, very, very simplified explanation of this. Could probably do a series of like 10 videos, each about 45 minutes long, talking about what's happening in the brain with trauma. But to keep it simple, basically what's happening is when you get into a situation where your safety is in danger or somebody around you might be in danger, the fight, flight, freeze part of the brain kicks in, right? So that's in the brain stem. It's actually back here, right? And the amygdala specifically takes over. It's a good thing. The amygdala is designed as a survival mechanism. It makes you stronger. It makes you faster. It makes you more resilient to pain. It makes you be able to process information a lot faster. So that's why sometimes if you've ever been in a situation where your amygdala got activated, things may seem like they're in slow motion. They're not in slow motion. What's happening is your brain is on like hyperdrive. So it's processing information so fast that it seems like time is moving really, really slow. So it does a lot of good things, but one thing that it's not great at, its primary purpose is to keep you alive and to keep the people around you alive. But one thing it's not great at is handling sensory information and turning it into a memory, right? That part of the brain is up here. That's your higher brain. That's your upper brain. So your amygdala handles what it needs to handle in emergencies, and then it takes all that data and it sends it up to the higher brain, and your higher brain says, what's going on here? This is a metaphor. This is simplifying the explanation. It says, what's going on here? We got a lot of data here. The narrative isn't even making sense, because remember, that amygdala part of the brain stem, is not designed to handle memories and turn them into like a narrative story. So it sends up all this information, and then your brain takes that and it says, okay, well, a gunshot sounds like fireworks. Blood smells like copper. Car accidents sound like this, and it just kind of sorts those things and puts them around in the brain. And the way that our brain sorts things, one of the ways the brain sorts things is like stores with like. okay? So fireworks and gunshots may get stored together or close together. And again, this is kind of simplifying it because I don't have the time in one video to go into a more in-depth explanation for it. But so just think of it as like stores with like. And so then when that gets activated, right? Like if you smell copper, all of a sudden the part of the brain that remembers what blood smells like. If you hear fireworks, all of a sudden the part of the brain that remembers what a gunshot sounded like might get lit up. Not always, might get lit up, okay? That's part of what can cause those dissociative episodes. And again, flashbacks is kind of a term that's being phased out. It's not really the modern term. We more talk about dissociative episodes. And dissociative episodes have a huge, huge range of what that can look like, okay? So there's very, very simple dissociative episodes where a person can kind of just zone out for a minute and it'll look like that. And a lot of people get that and don't even realize they're getting it. There's like a fugue state if you've ever driven, and then all of a sudden you're like, where am I, right? You probably had a minor dissociative episode. More severe ones would be where you're actually immersed in this memory of sounds, sights, smells, and that was commonly called a flashback. Now we tend to more think of it as like a severe dissociative episode. And then there's another type that I'm not going to get into today where it used to be called like split personality or multiple personality. Now it's more commonly known as like dissociative identity disorder. It's on the same spectrum, but it's just a different way that mechanism can get activated, okay? Let's stay out of that territory for now. All right, so 4th of July is coming up. Obviously, people are going to be shooting off fireworks. We don't, any veteran that I've ever talked to is not going to say, I don't want people to shoot off fireworks. They're going to say, I want people to enjoy the freedoms that we fought for, right? So how do we be courteous about this? How do we be respectful of the fact? And if you're a veteran or if you're somebody who suffers from this, if it's something that triggers dissociative episodes for you, stay with me. I got something for you right after this. This is more for people who are just being supportive about people who may have those issues, okay? So number one, if you're shooting off fireworks in your neighborhood, just understand that most people with these kind of issues are going to expect that it's going to happen on the 3rd or 4th of July. They're most likely going to try to mentally prepare themselves for it, and they're probably going to be okay. If you're having a party where you're the one that's shooting those off, it's a good idea to let everybody know that's at your party, and maybe even some of your neighbors around you, hey, we're going to be shooting off fireworks at 10 p.m., okay? So that people can mentally prepare themselves for it. If you bought a ton of fireworks, what I'm going to ask you to do is don't shoot those off at random days all summer long at 2 a.m. because if people are not prepared for it, that's gonna cause some problems for them, or it could. Again, not everybody gets this. Just something to be aware of. If you got fireworks and you're planning to shoot them off and have a good time, try to get them all out on the 3rd and 4th, right? Just get them done with. People are expecting that that's going to happen. People will try to prepare themselves mentally for that, okay? If you're the one shooting those off, let your neighbors know that I'm going to be shooting off fireworks at 10 p.m. Let your people at your party know, at your barbecue know, hey, we're going to shoot off fireworks at 10 p.m. Those who don't want to be around it, maybe they're going to leave early. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't necessarily embarrass the person, like say, hey, do fireworks bother you or anything like that? Just make a casual announcement so that everybody knows, all right? All right, last part here. So now if you're somebody who struggles with this, if you have issues where fireworks, loud bangs can send you into a dissociative episode, can give you those flashbacks, as we used to call them, a couple things you can do. Number one, know that the 3rd and 4th you're going to hear some of that stuff. It could activate it for you. Mentally prepare yourself for it. Maybe you like to have noise canceling earphones. Maybe you're just going to stay home that night because that's what you feel comfortable with. Learn your relaxation breathing. I go through some of that in some of those videos that are going to be in the links down below. Same kind of idea that you're going to do for panic attacks. Maybe you want to be around family that you trust or a friend that you trust. Maybe you're just going to hug your dog when the fireworks going off because the fireworks tend to bother some animals too. Maybe you're just going to put music on a little bit louder than you normally would. Maybe you're going to put your earbuds in and listen to music. Different ways that you can try to block it out if it's really going to bother you. If you're supposed to be on medications, plan your medications accordingly so that you're timing it for about, like after, usually most people are going to shoot those off after sunset. So just kind of plan that accordingly. Maybe you stay away from alcohol this weekend if you know you're susceptible to this, things like that. The last piece here, and this is one that if you've never heard this before, I want you to remember, this is not a substitute for therapy. This is just a skill I want you to be aware of, and you can teach this to other people as well. Sensory grounding. So what do we mean by like mindfulness and sensory grounding? So sensory grounding is if you are seeing a flashback or you're feeling yourself starting to get immersed into one of those dissociative episodes, what you can do is you're going to try to ground yourself into the present. You're going to ground yourself into the reality of where you're sitting, the room you're in, the what time of day it is. And there's some ways that you do that. So what you're going to do, number one, is look around your room. What are 5 things that I see? Okay. What are 4 things? And then you're going to do 4 things that I hear. If you can't pick up 4 things you hear, don't get stuck on it. Move on. What are 3 things that I feel? Now, this one I feel is particularly important. I recommend for my patients to have something that grounds them. So it could be your wedding ring. Like you always know what your wedding ring feels like. If it's not your wedding ring, what do you carry in your pocket, right? Like you always have your keys or your phone in your pocket, right? How much does that weigh? Really focus in on what does that feel like in your hand. Does it have a smell even, right? Like that's mindfulness. So you're focusing in on 3 things that you feel now. 3 things that you feel. Could be the shirt on your back. It could be the chair underneath you. Wedding ring. It's a good one. All right. 2 things that you smell. And again, if you can't smell 2 different things, don't get stuck on it. Keep going. 1 thing that you taste. And then if you're still not grounded in the reality, the present of where you're sitting right now, start going through who was the last 4 presidents, going backwards. Who was, what day is it? What time is it? Where are you? What's the street address, right? Everything that's going to pull you back into your mindfulness of the moment. Now, if you have one of these dissociative episodes, a flashback or whatever, if it's an intense one, it's gonna almost feel like you've got 2 things going on. You've got your room that you're sitting in, and then you've got this images in front of you. It's almost like a movie screen that you can't ignore. Now you're kind of curious about it, and you're terrified too, and you're looking at it, and you want to see where it's going. Like, why am I remembering this? Oh, this is weird. I didn't remember that fact, that detail. But I want you to try to pull yourself out of that and ground in the room that you're in, the day that you're in, present tense, the sights, smells, sounds, all of that, taste, all that stuff, okay? Try not to look at that other stuff right now, because the more you go into that, the deeper it's going to take you down that rabbit hole, okay? If you want to process that stuff, there's ways to do that in therapy with a licensed, trained therapist who can help you look at that stuff safely and keep 1 foot grounded and 1 foot looking at those memories so you can start to put those pieces back together again. Now that can be part of the plan that helps you to put those puzzle pieces and those memories together again in a cohesive way. It's going to be a bad memory. We can't change the past, but we can change how we think about the past. We can change we can put the pieces together so maybe it's an ugly picture, but it's a complete picture, and we can think about it differently. And that, my friends, has a tendency to lower the severity of all those symptoms, the nightmares, the flashbacks, panic attacks, agitation, hypervigilance, all of it, okay? That's something you're going to have to do with a therapist, though. Can't do that through a video here, okay? That's all I got. I got to get ready for the stream. I hope you all have a safe 4th of July. Hug your loved ones. Call your mom. Call your dad. Again, no live stream on my channel tonight. You're going to head over to Rogue Preparedness, right? Good friend of mine. Been a very good friend of my channel for a long time. Actually, one of the biggest inspirations for my channel. So go join us over there. While you're over there, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I will see you there, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I got to roll. I got to get this video out there.